But I also like to start off by reminding you that the NIA, National Insurance Association of America, did a survey in 2002, said that 1 in 50 people at large public events forget to lock their cars. And it probably won't be dark when we get out of here. But if someone were to find your car unlocked and hide, why, that would be a crazy thing to do. So you would want to check that. And that same survey about home safety and the safety that people take when they go out says that 1 in, I think it's like 220, forget to lock their houses when they go out. And it will be dark when you get home. And if somebody were to creep in, they go to the bathroom and hide in the shower. I saw it at the movies, man. It just happens. They hide in the shower. And I think that if you're sitting there thinking, well, it doesn't matter because I have one of those see-through shower curtains, then they're behind the door. They know that as well. But really, that's all bullshit. See, I just made all that up, the statistics. It's all just bullshit. My wife and I have been married since 1971, which means that we've been married over 40 years, and she calls those facts out of Steve's ass. Right? I had this intestinal discomfort, and I had to excuse myself and run to the bathroom, which was this sort of Babylonian splendor thing. It's like marble and columns, and there was a restroom attendant who was 108 years old, bald, Simonized skull. You know what I mean? A little thin guy with the towel over his arm and the quarters in the little dish. And this thing had everything but doors on the stalls. So I'm in there in the room where even Superman has to sit down, and you have to try to be a little bit delicate. Let's just say everything came out all right, but it was sad. I mean, I was homesick and sitting on the john and sad, and I'm thinking things can't get any worse. And here comes the 108-year-old washroom attendant with a pad and a pen. And for the first time in my life, someone said, "Aren't you Stephen King?" He said, "I saw you on AM Pittsburgh. Can I have your autograph?" Now, I had given autographs before, but that was the first time I gave one to like a total stranger that wasn't at an autographing. And I did it while I was sitting on the crapper. Now, you can make of that whatever you will, but that's a more or less true story, I guess. And not to belabor the point, my hair really was black then instead of this sort of no-color kind of thing. And I had a big black beard. And I'm eating my hot dog and reading my book, because I go everywhere with a book. Nerdy, but it's me, what can I say? And I look up, and the guy's through the pass-through in the thing, cooking the stuff, and he's looking at me. And he sees me looking at him, and right away he's back, he's cooking stuff. So I read my book, and I look up, and he's looking at me. And then he looks away, and finally I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's going to come out and ask for my autograph, because at least I'm not in the shit house, so I'm eating a hot dog. And he did. He came out, and he had the pad, and he had the pencil. And he said, "Aren't you Francis Ford Coppola?" Because I had the glasses and the beard, and I said, "Yes, I am." And I signed the autograph, Francis Coppola. Jake's friend, the cook, brings up the most famous Jake brings up the most famous paradox to him, and he says, Well, what if you went back into the past and killed your own grandfather? And the cook says, why the fuck would I want to do that? So you're able to get kind of past that in a way. Why would you? Why would you do that? I did the best I could with it, and I had a lot of fun. And but boy, whew, time travel's a bitch. I did it once, and I'm not going there anymore. And then a story about Roland as a boy, and that one's a werewolf story, actually. And I just don't, as monsters go, I don't care for werewolves very much. Vampires were okay until, you know, Stephanie Meyer kind of spoiled them for me. I don't mean to put down anybody's taste, but they were all lovey-dovey, you know, and he got all sparkly. So that kind of spoiled that. So there's that, and I got it done, and I thought, oh, all right, now I'm going to move on to an actual new thing. Never mind going back to the Dark Tower that I started when I was like 22, or Under the Dome, which the idea originally came to me when I was 25, or 11, 22. I will think of something entirely new to do. And with that in mind, I wrote a sequel to The Shining. You remember the kid? I mean, I don't... How many of you read that book? Do you know that book? Okay, wait. This is going to be good. I've never done this before in my life. I could be so damn sorry I did this. Clap if you've read the book. Clap if you've seen the movie. Clap if you've read the book but haven't seen the movie. See? All right, now wait a minute. This is it right here. Clap if you've seen the movie but haven't read the book. See, you're the guys I want. You're the guys that I want. It's like Stanley Kubrick was like the coldest guy in the universe. I outlived him though, didn't I? Oh man, I even got hit by a car and I still outlived him. So, no, I'm sure he's a great guy, but so it's I don't remember. I think it's like 1976, something like that. And I'm hungover out of my mind. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm shaving, hungover out of my mind. And my wife comes into the bathroom and says, Stanley Kubrick is on the phone from London. And I'm like this, and the blood is coming through the shaving cream. And I'm like, is this a joke, Tabby? And she said, no, it's really Stanley Kubrick, I think. So I go out, 7 o'clock, because why not call the guy at 7 o'clock? It's like noon where he is in London, so. And I know that he's bought the rights, but I never figure he'll actually make the film, you know. And so you got to picture me. I'm in my skivvies. I'm hungover. The kid is bawling in the other room. I'm bleeding. I got shaving cream on half of my face. I pick up the phone and I say, hello, this is Stephen King. And he says, hello, Steve. I think most ghost stories are fundamentally optimistic, don't you? And I'm like, what are we going to talk about next? Whether or not God's real? I mean, I'm hungover here at 7 o'clock, I'm bleeding. Well, I'm saying, why is that? Why do you feel that way? And he said, well, if there are ghosts, it means we survive death, doesn't it? And that's fundamentally optimistic. And I said, well, Mr. Kubrick, what about hell? It's this long silence on the other end of the room. And then he said in an entirely different voice, I don't believe in hell. The other thing that I know about drunks is that the children of drunks a lot of times become drunks. I heard this joke the other day. It doesn't seem like a joke to me at all. You know, what happens when a codependent dies? Somebody else's life flashes before their eyes. And so I thought to myself, you know, I've always wondered what happened to that kid. I used to joke about it. I used to say Danny Torrance grows up, meets Charlie McGee from Firestarter, and they have these weird kids that are like the mutant X-Men. No, I mean, I'm serious. We don't have to do this. Hold on. Diet Pepsi, baby. It's the drink of the gods. Hold on. Moxie. Oh, my God, yes. Moxie. Don't even get me started on Moxie. That stuff sucks so bad.
What book or books would you say are a necessity for a high school student to read?
Well, the one that I think that's really great, that turns kids on to the possibilities of fiction and how exciting it can be is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I love that one. And I think it's really important to get kids stuff. There's a fine line between what's good and what's so hard that the kids give up. I was given Moby Dick to read as a junior in high school, and I never got through it. I fudged that baby so bad. Totally did. Another great one is George Orwell's book, Animal Farm. 1984 is good too, but it's too long, I think, for high school kids, and it's also a wicked bummer. You know what I'm saying?
What is your favorite book that you've written and why?
You know, it's funny you should say that, because I was just thinking the other day, isn't it weird your own farts smell better than anybody else's? I was there one Wednesday, and I came around the housewares aisle, and there was this sort of crotchety old lady. She took a look at me, and she looked back, and then she looked at me again, and she said, I know you. You're Stephen King. You write those horrible books, those horrible, horrible books. Well, she said, that's all right for some people, but I don't like that kind of thing. I like uplifting things like that Shawshank Redemption. And wait for it. I said, I wrote that, and she said, no, you didn't.
You have so many amazing, wonderful, scary, weird characters in your head at any given time. Where do they go? Where do they go when you're trying to live your life? Do they run around in your head all the time, or can you put them away?
Well, that's a good one to end on. Because I've never heard it put that way before. And tonight when I try to go to sleep, I'll be thinking, where are they on?